A city that does not wait for you to be ready. A piece of bread that meant more than it should. A door that opened before I knocked. And moments I could not have invented. This is Marrakech, and this is where it started. I woke up at 4:30 the morning. I left for Morocco. The house was completely quiet. There is something about leaving that makes you notice how much you have. I packed 3 times, took things out, put them back in, took them out again. I checked my passport 4 times before I left the house. The photo is from 7 years ago. I look nothing like that anymore. I look better. I stood in the doorway of my living room for a long moment and turned off the light. The taxi came at 5:15. The driver didn't ask where I was going until we were already moving. Morocco, I told him. He nodded slowly like I had said something that required processing. I understood completely. The airport at 5:45 in the morning has its own particular energy. Everyone is either exhausted or electric. I was somewhere in between. I sat at the gate and did not look at my phone. That alone felt like an accomplishment. The plane boarded quietly. I had a window seat. And then the ground just let us go. Above the clouds, it is always the same, calm and white and enormous.
That's certainly something.
I thought about Morocco the whole way there and understood I was thinking about something I had invented. And then Africa appeared, dry and gold and ancient, looking even from 30,000 feet. And Morocco came up to meet me.
Welcome to Marrakech Minaret Airport.
The airport stopped me immediately. Even the ceiling was telling me I was somewhere else. I had landed in Marrakech, the Red City, founded in 1070 by the Almoravid dynasty, one of Morocco's 4 imperial cities and the most visited in all of Africa. The heat came first, then the light.
إلى المطار؟ نعم، تفضل. Welcome to Marrakech, madam. Let me get that for you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very kind.
No problem at all. Where can
My driver's name was Hassan. He asked me one question. First time in Morocco? I said yes. He smiled and said nothing else, which was the right answer. I should tell you something about myself. I have never liked crowds, the noise, the press of people, the feeling of being swept along by something larger than you. Marrakech did not care. I stood at the entrance for longer than I should admit. Then I stepped in. Hassan had told me before I got out of the taxi. No cars inside, you walk from here. I pulled my suitcase over stones that had been there for 500 years. The hotel had no sign visible from the street, just a number and a brass knocker that had been touched by 1,000 hands before mine. It opened before I knocked twice.
أهلاً وسهلاً.
Oh my. It's even more beautiful than the pictures. Oh, this is incredible.
أهلاً وسهلاً. Please sign here. Your key. Welcome to the riad.
There was a small reception desk built into the wall, carved wood, a lantern above it, a key with a brass tag, already waiting. Fatima led me up a narrow tiled staircase to the upper floor. Room 7. A wooden door with a small carved detail above it. The room was not large, but everything in it had been chosen carefully. and a window that looked out over the rooftops toward the minaret. The next morning, I was on the rooftop before anyone else. The Atlas Mountains sat on the horizon like they had been painted there. By 6 in the morning, the bread was already moving. Round, flat loaves still warm from the oven. I walked confidently in completely the wrong direction for 20 minutes. The Medina has no grid, no logic a Western mind can immediately follow. A boy of maybe 10 years old watched me walk past the same corner 3 times. On the 3rd time, he simply pointed left without being asked. Left was correct. I walked into the souk with no map and no plan. The colors hit you before anything else does. Red, gold, blue. A vendor held something up and raised his eyebrows. I felt the fabric, nodded like I knew what I was nodding about.
The texture is exquisite. Indeed, madam, finest quality. I'll take it.
I leaned too far into the cumin. My eyes watered for 4 minutes. The vendor laughed. I found a cafe the size of a generous closet. The tea was poured from what I estimated to be 3 feet in the air. It was the sweetest thing I had tasted. I smelled it before I saw it. Merguez sausages on an open charcoal grill, spiced lamb. He handed it to me and a small piece of bread with harissa on the side. I ate the whole thing. I held up 2 fingers at the vendor. He laughed and said something in Daria. I have no idea what it was. I agreed completely. I had learned 3 words before I came. Shukran. Thank you. Labas. How are you? Marhaba. I tried shukran on the bread vendor. First attempt. He corrected me immediately, kindly, but immediately. I tried again. He tilted his head. Better. Not good, but better. I stood on that street in Marrakech holding a piece of bread I had not paid for from a man whose name I do not know, and felt something shift. I cannot explain it exactly. A woman in the souk had a small stall, djellabas, the traditional Moroccan robe worn by both men and women, floor length, hooded, in every color the souk had to offer. She held one up against me without asking. A deep saffron yellow, looked at me, nodded once. Decisive. I put it on over my jacket in the middle of the souk. It was the right choice, apparently. Fatima had told me before I left the riad that morning, one thing you must do in Marrakech. I expected her to say the square or the palace. She said Henna. A woman set up outside the entrance to the souk, took my left hand without ceremony and started drawing. I watched a pattern appear on my skin that I could not have drawn in 100 attempts. Vines, flowers, geometric borders, all from memory.
Oh my goodness! Look at this! It's so beautiful!
I turned a corner and stopped walking completely. The Koutoubia minaret has stood in this spot since 1158, nearly 900 years old. The name comes from the Arabic word for booksellers, Koutubian. This entire area was once the largest book market in the medieval world, standing 70 meters tall, the tallest structure in Marrakech. By law, nothing in the city can be built taller. It was the inspiration for the Giralda Tower in Seville and the Hassan Tower in Rabat. Same architect, same century. From above you understand why it was a landmark. It rises above everything. Nothing in the old city comes close to its height. The Bahia Palace sits in the southern Medina. Bahia means brilliance in Arabic. Built by Sai Malsa, 8 hectares, 150 rooms, 28 years to complete. Every craftsman in Marrakech worked on it at some point. The ceilings stopped me at every room. Painted cedar wood. Craftsmen spent years on each one. There are 150 rooms. Courtyards within courtyards. Gardens inside gardens. I walked through slowly with my hands behind my back so I would not be tempted to touch anything. And at the center of everything, a garden that has been growing quietly for 160 years. On my last evening, I went back to Djemaa el-Fnaa. Djemaa el-Fnaa has been the beating heart of Marrakech since the 11th century. UNESCO declared it a masterpiece of oral and intangible heritage in 2001, not for its buildings, for its people, its storytellers, its performers, its energy that has never stopped. I found one last food stall at the edge of the square. Harira soup, a thick Moroccan broth of tomato and lentil and spice, served in a clay bowl with a piece of bread. I sat on a wooden bench at a plastic table in the middle of that famous square and ate the best soup I have ever had in my life. Morocco does not ask if you are ready for it. It simply begins. That night, I sat on the rooftop long after everyone had gone in. The city does not sleep. It just changes its voice. Tomorrow, Fatima takes me to the hammam. I asked what to expect. She smiled and said, "Just trust me." In my experience, those are the 3 most terrifying words in any language.